You don't have to choose between oil paintings and a healthier studio. You don't have to give up your traditional oils. But if you are painting in an apartment with family or pets nearby and still working with open solvents, this conversation matters. There are smarter ways to work in today's contemporary studio, and I will show you how. When we imagine an oil painting studio, we picture something romantic. Linen canvas, linseed oil, a jar of turpentine on the table. For centuries, that atmosphere defined oil paintings, but most of us don't work in isolated garrets anymore. We paint in apartments, in residential buildings, with pets, with family, sometimes filming in the same room, where paint is drying. The contemporary studio is integrated into life, and that changes how we think about material. Solvents have always been part of oil paintings. Turpentine, mineral spirits, odorless thinner. But odorless doesn't mean non-toxic. Smell is reduced. The volatile compounds are not eliminated. And plant-based alternatives like citrus solvents may sound safer because they are natural. But natural doesn't automatically mean harmless. There are still chemical solvents. They still release vapors. They still require ventilations. And this isn't about fear. It's about awareness. Ventilation remains the foundation of studio safety. I will talk more about airflow and realistic home setups in another episode. The bigger point is this. Oil paintings has always evolved. From hand-ground pigments to metal paint tubes to alkyd mediums. Modern adaptation doesn't make paintings less authentic. It makes it more informed. So, what are the options? First, you don't have to abandon your traditional oil paints. There are specialized mediums like Schmincke Medium W or Cobra painting medium that allow regular oil paints to temporarily mix with water. What that means in simple terms is this. Normally oil and water, they don't mix, but these mediums act like a bridge between them. So you can thin your paints with water and clean your brushes with soap and water instead of using solvent. The paint itself is still oil paint. It still dries through oxidation. It still behaves like oil. What changes is mainly the cleaning and thinning process. Second, you can choose factory-made water-mixable oil paints. These are oil paints that are already been modified at the manufacturing level. So they are designed from the start to mix with water consistently. For some artists, this feels simpler because everything is already engineered to work together. The third option isn't about switching system at all. It's about building a more solvent-conscious workflow. Often that begins with something very simple, washing brushes in oil instead of solvent. Oil dissolves oil, so instead of dipping your brush into an open jar throughout the sessions, you wipe off the excess paints and clean the bristles in a small container of linseed, walnut, or safflower oil. It removes most of the pigment without introducing solvent vapor into the air. Another shift is simply wiping more, rinsing less. A surprising amount of solvent use is just habits. If you wipe your brush thoroughly on a rack between color changes, your dependency on thinner drops dramatically. Some painters also prefer walnut oil as a cleaning oil. It oxidizes more slowly than linseed oil, conditions the bristles, and tend to yellow less in residue over time. And if solvent is still part of the practice, it doesn't have to sit open beside you for hours. It can become a short, controlled steps at the very end of the day. A brief deep clean rather than continuous exposure. That small structural change alone makes a significant difference. Before I wrap up, I want to add two more practical options. Some brands now offer genuinely solvent-free mediums. Gamblin, for example, has a solvent-free painting medium that let you adjust flow and handling without mineral spirits. Sennelier also developed the Green for Oil series, designed to reduce dependence on traditional petroleum-based solvents while keeping the characters of oil painting intact. Another simple shift is at the very beginning of the process. Many contemporary painters use acrylic for the initial underpainting or wash. It dries quickly, it requires no solvents, and let you establish structures before moving into oil. The contemporary studios requires contemporary awareness. We no longer paint outside our environment, we paint within it. Solvent-free thinking isn't about rejection tradition, it's about adjusting tradition to how we live today. If this gave you something to think about, give this video a thumbs up, and I will continue exploring materials, methods, and mindset in the contemporary studio.